Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Teacher Mark. It's May the 28th. It is Thursday, and this is English class. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to review the second part of the book. Where you found this video, next to that on the daily lesson plan, you'll see there's a link to a book review. You'll notice it looks pretty familiar because we did the same thing with part one. And Wonder is a whole book, it's a whole story about a thing, but the voice of the characters changes it quite a bit. So even though we're kind of looking at similar events and similar times, they live the same days and things, the main characters might be different. The focus of the plot might be different. Halloween for August means something very different than what Halloween means for Via. If you guys remember, Halloween was Halloween for August. He was really excited. But in the Via part, in part 2 that we read, her section on that wasn't called Halloween. It just said October 31st, because to her, she doesn't think about that. So even though it's the same story, they're living a similar experience, there's enough differences, I think, that today what I wanted to do is just review the second part of the story, what we've learned about Via so far. Because I think the questions on the worksheet here, the answers will be different than I think what they would have been in the first part. Who are the main characters in the first part? Jack, Will, Summer, some of these people here. But Jack Will's not really in this. His name comes up a couple of times, especially towards the end, but he's not really in it. So that's what I wanted to do today, was just review the second part of the story, the part about Via. So if you see the worksheet here, it says, who are they? Who are these main characters? Well, August is obviously a character. The mom, I think, is a much bigger character in the story now. The dad, too. Obviously, Via is a bigger character. Miranda as well. Via's good friend. She's a character in the story who interacts with August and with Via. So, she's also in the story. Did you like these characters? How did they make you feel? Miranda, we saw through Via's eyes. Miranda had changed. She was different, and she just didn't get along. Her and Via were just different. But then you find out that Miranda had been talking to August, saying that she misses Via. So the way that you feel about these characters might change. At first maybe you think, oh, Miranda, she's no good. She's a bad friend. And then you come to realize, maybe she feels the same way about Via that Via feels about her. So that's all we have to do is talk about the characters, the main characters, how we felt about them. Did you like them? The plot. If you remember plot, that's basically what happens in the story. In the first part, it was mostly about August going to school. That was kind of the big thing. Here, it's about going to school, but it's about Via going to school mostly. And it also involves August, though, too, because he's also living the same days that she is. And then they're having similar experiences. So she can kind of tell him things about his day from her perspective as well. So the plot, it's sort of similar, but we're looking at it through a different character's eyes. So there are different actions that happen. Via, she goes home on the subway one day. She hides in the bathroom after school because she doesn't want to go home with Miranda. So there are quite a few differences in the focus of the story here in the second part. So that's what we have to say, just what happens in the story, and was it fun to read? I think this part involved more describing. There's definitely conversation between characters, which I think is oftentimes more interesting to read. But I think more of the second part was just sort of describing things. You get to learn a lot about Via, especially in the beginning of part 2. She just sort of describes a lot of, being the center of the galaxy, August kind of being the thing everybody revolves around and that stuff. It was very descriptive, so it could be a little more boring to read. I don't know. It's up to you guys. So we just have to say, was it fun to read? And then your opinion. Did you like part 2 of this book? Was it better than part 1? Were there things that we learned in part 2 that you didn't learn in part 1? I think that was one of the most interesting things, was like, for example, August's Halloween costume. He was going to go as one thing, change his mind, went as another. Not a big deal. But then you realize in the second part that it was a big deal. His mom worked really hard to get him this costume, and he didn't even wear it. So there are enough differences, I think, that you can kind of like see these things and give your opinion. You know, what about this part compared to the last part? We've learned some new things. You know, were there any funny parts or sad parts? Did we learn anything new? And basically, recommend. We could say, do you recommend this part of the book? But yeah, why would you say it's good? Why not? I think it's good now because I think this will be easier in some ways because we have something to compare it to. We did this once before, so I think we kind of know what to do. But we can say, like, was it good? Was it bad? Because now we've read two parts. Was it better than the first? Worse than the first? Those kind of things. So that's all we have to do. Just talk about the second part of the story, the part about Via, and answer the same questions about character, plot, give your opinion, and would you recommend this? That's all we have to do. And then send it to the teacher today before the end of the day. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.